Hi guys! In this video we will look at lactose intolerance. This video is especially made for a subscriber that made a request for lactose intolerance video. So let's start. Before we go into lactose intolerance, let's recall that carbohydrates are biomolecules made of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And as we studied in the previous video, larger molecules need to be broken down into smaller molecules so that the body can absorb them. In this case, carbohydrates need to be broken down to monosaccharides like glucose, fructose, or galactose so that the body can absorb them and produce energy. And this concept is just to let you know that the body has to break down molecules in order for it to be useful for the body. Okay, our focus here is on glucose. Now let's go to lactose intolerance. Let's speak of milk. We're talking about the regular milk that is produced by cow in this case, for example. Because many people, if you've observed, who have lactose intolerance can't take milk. And this is because milk has disaccharides which need to be broken down to monosaccharides in order for the body to absorb it. And we're going to see more into this later, but let's talk about lactose. Lactose is a disaccharide present in the milk, and by disaccharide we mean that it's made of two sugars, glucose and combined with galactose. The glucose is in yellow, the galactose I'm drawing it in pink, just for easy understanding. So normally, lactose will be broken down by an enzyme called lactase into glucose and galactose, which are monosaccharides, so that the body can absorb them. And this process happens in the small intestine. Now, what happens if the lactase is not present, or it just can't break down the lactose into glucose and galactose? That is where lactose intolerance comes in. Okay, in lactose intolerant patients, the lactase is not breaking down the lactose into glucose and galactose. And so in the small intestine, the lactose remains as lactose. It doesn't break down. And because it remained as lactose, now this lactose is going to continue going to the large intestine. And this is where individuals experience a few side effects. And you might wonder, what's the problem here? Why can't the body just get rid of that lactose? Why does it cause so many problems? Let's look into that. Okay, so let's copy the lactose. The lactose, which is made of glucose and galactose, it enters the colon or the large intestine. And it doesn't just stop there. What happens is that the gut bacteria will start feeding on this lactose. So this is the gut bacteria. They start feeding on the lactose. And as a result, so let's write that down. As a result, there are a few byproducts produced, some of which are these few gases: hydrogen gas, carbon dioxide, and methane. So much gas. And this is why patients experience gas or bloating and pain. And another byproduct is fatty acids. And because now there are fatty acids, water will be absorbed into the colon, into the large intestine, which makes the large intestine dilate. Okay, and also gives the patient diarrhea. So all this, as a result of all this, here are the symptoms of lactose intolerance. There's gas, bloating, diarrhea, nausea, and in some cases, people experience pain. But these are the typical symptoms of lactose intolerance. So now you may have another question, and that question would be, why do some people Actually, majority of the people. Why is there a lack or absence of lactase in their body? Let's look a little bit at childhood and a little bit of history. When babies are born, they have very high lactase in their body because, as you know, babies' main food is milk, right? So because their main food is milk, they have very high lactase to break down that lactose in the milk to glucose and galactose into those simpler monosaccharides so the body can absorb it. But as people age, so when they grow into adulthood, as they grow older, their lactase level starts reducing. And you might wonder why this happens. It doesn't happen in everybody, but it does happen in most Asians, Africans, and South Americans. And this may be related to natural selection because these groups didn't grow up feeding on milk. So it could be because of that natural selection process. Again, this happens in other groups as well. It's just more common in Asians, Africans, and South Americans. And let's look at why there is the causes of lactose intolerance. So there are three causes. The primary lactose intolerance, which is the very common cause, is like what we explained earlier. There is a deficiency in the enzyme lactase, especially when the person ages. Let me write that again. Deficiency in the enzyme lactase. Again, like 70% of people have this. Okay, another reason could be because of, so this is what we call the secondary lactose intolerance. And this could be because of inflammation of the small intestine. When the small intestine is inflamed, the enzyme lactase cannot come out into the stomach to break down the lactose or carbohydrates. So this is because of other underlying causes like celiac disease, Crohn's disease, kwashiorkor, or any other diseases of the small intestine that causes inflammation of the small intestine. And now let's go to the third cause, which is very rare, but it's there, and it's called the congenital lactose intolerance. And this one is a genetic defect. So in this case, even the baby at birth can't consume milk because it will give them all those symptoms that we mentioned earlier. And since birth, their body, because of that genetic defect, their body doesn't allow the production of the enzyme lactase. And so the baby cannot, the baby's body cannot break down the lactose. Okay, so now you might wonder, what do you do if you love milk and you love ice cream or any other dairy products? Is this the end for you? Well, you need not worry because lactose intolerance is very, very common and there is a treatment available. In fact, there are many options available, and these options are not invasive in any way. So let's look at a few of those options that can treat or rather suppress the symptoms of lactose intolerance. So let's look at the first method. You can manage lactose intolerance by managing your diet properly. And this could mean that you should opt for options that don't have lactose, so like lactose-free milk, lactose-free ice cream, or any lactose-free food. And there are many options available in the market these days. There's lactose-free diet almost everywhere. Or another easier option than that would be to go for the commercial lactase enzymes. So these can come in the form of tablets, for example. So you consume those tablets and you can then eat diet that has lactose. So this option is best for those who can't get their hand on lactose-free diet easily. And the secondary lactose intolerance that we talked about, that one is a bit serious. So for that case, you need to find the underlying cause of that inflammation that's happening in the small intestine so that the underlying cause can be treated. And lastly, I just want to remind you all again that lactose intolerance is actually a very, very common thing. More than 65% of the population has lactose intolerance, so don't worry too much about it. Just take care of your diet, and yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope it was helpful to you.